If you're a home service business owner doing a couple $1 million a year and you're wondering what separates me from a $10 million home service business, this video is for you. Over the last 7 years, I've talked to more than 1,000 home service businesses, and we've helped generate over $47 million in revenue for home service companies between $1 million and $10 million in revenue. This has given us a front row seat to how these businesses actually operate. In this video, I'm going to break down the 4 key areas where $10 million home service businesses think and operate differently: attract, convert, deliver, and collect, so you can take their playbook and implement it in your business today. We're going to start right with attraction, which is customers coming into your business. So $1 million contractors, they focus on referrals, which happen naturally or they don't. Random marketing spend with no return on investment and visibility. No follow-up system after the first visit. Revenue comes in when customers decide to call. Cross-selling depends on whoever shows up that day. So I used to work at a $3 million home service business, and pretty much every single one of these we fell into when I first started working there. So I'm going to give you what the $10 million companies do, and I'm going to break down each specific playbook for you. All right, so referrals happen naturally or they don't. What do $10 million companies do? Customer reactivation campaigns run on a schedule. So they send out monthly email newsletters, they do biannual text messages, and they cross-sell services in those emails. They're not just farming or branding strategy. They're actually sales emails that go out on a cadence that have call to actions in them. And then usually they have maybe even a second email that goes out that says, hey, we're going to be in your area doing this service. Do you want to get on the schedule? Random marketing spend with no ROI visibility. This one I can't stress enough. This was exactly at my $3 million home service business. The owner literally was just spending a bunch of money and had no idea what was working. And I said, hold on, we need to put in return on ad spend tracking. So return on ad spend tracked over 3 to 6 months and ads feel predictable. This one is probably the number one piece of attraction, which is most guys at 1 million, 2 million, 3 million are operating on gut feeling. They're willing to spend the money and throw it out there, but they don't know if it's actually helping them grow their business. And the only way they evaluate that is if revenue goes up. This is solving that for them on a month-to-month basis. So that way, after 3 to 6 months, they have a very good idea if this works or not. And then they can make a decision of scale it up, scale it down, change strategies, but not just gut feeling of, oh, this isn't working, or I'm not feeling this. The third thing is no follow-up system after the first visit. Can't stress this one enough as well, because a lot of times in the 1, 2, 3 million, the owner is the one who's out there firefighting. He's the number one sales guy. He's going out giving estimates. And once he gives the estimate, there's usually not much that happens after. Maybe a call from a CSR, maybe an email automation from a CRM, but usually there's no email text sequence, drive, repeat bookings automatically. Like nothing happens. And even another worse part than this is after the service happens, there's nothing else that happens. There's no like 6-month check-in text. There's no happy call the next day. These are all things that $10 million businesses do, and they have a system for it that happens, whether it's automated or a person inside of the office. But all of those things should be happening. Right after the service, you should have a happy call that happens the next day. Hey, just wanted to see how everything went. Wanted to get you on the books for the next service. A 6-month check-in that says, hey, we were at your house 6 months ago. Just want to see how everything's going. If you have any updated projects, they should go into the email newsletters and the biannual texts. And maybe even if you're really, really good, you want to do a call at least every single year, just checking in on them. You might say, oh, that's a little much, but in the age of AI and the trust regression that's happening, or trust recession that's happening, people want real. They want real calls. They want real interactions. So can't stress that one enough. Revenue comes in when customers decide to call. Okay, this one, every single time I talk to a 1, 2, $3 million home service business, I ask them, how do you get most of your customers? They say referrals and word of mouth. And then I say, well, what's the strategy to get more of those? And it's like, we just do a good job and then people will work with us again. Well, what if you actually had a system so that way you could get more referrals and word of mouth? Revenue doesn't just come in whenever the customer decides that they want to. This is why monthly newsletters, memberships stabilize your revenue. So monthly newsletters, I already talked about those, but they need to be going out on a cadence. And memberships, and you might say, I can't do a membership for my thing, blah, blah, blah. What at my home service business, we did duct cleaning. Like, who wants to buy a membership for duct cleaning? No one, because you do duct cleaning every 3 to 4 years. You do a dryer vent every 1 to 2 years. So we actually built a freemium model, which was a free membership. Every single person that came through our funnel got enrolled in our free membership, which then they got bonuses and benefits of being a free member. They got proactive scheduling, so we would call them and schedule ahead of time. They also got discounts on certain services that we would make them aware of. And then the last one here is cross-selling depends on whoever shows up that day. You know, if you have technicians, that you need to have them generating opportunities out in the field, whether that's cross sells for other services that you offer, whether that's upsells that's happening. And usually 1 to 3 million, the owner doesn't have a sales system in their business. So the cross selling depends on whoever shows up that day. If the guy's in a good mood, he's going to get some cross sells. If he doesn't, it doesn't happen. Cross sell offers built into every touch point. So at my home service business, We had about 28 technicians. English was not their first language, and it was really hard to get them to upsell. So we actually took it a step further, which was we had the CSRs, customer service representative, upselling on the phone and also in their confirmation calls. So we would confirm the calls, confirm the appointments the next day, and we would say, hey, by the way, when Phil's out there doing the duct cleaning, would you like him to take a look at your dryer vent, or would you like him to do this or that service? While we're out there, a lot of people choose to do that. About 50% of our clients want that. So I just wanted to make that aware. It's a really great way to upsell, and especially if you don't have technicians that are really good at upsells and you don't want to be salesy, that's fine. Before I go to the next thing, a lot of times when I talk to business owners that are in 1 to 3 million, they tell me this: well, Phil, I don't want to be annoying, like these emails and these texts and all this stuff. Like, they'll work with us and they need to. Like, I just want to do a great service. And trust me, I hear you on that. However, you can't get lifetime value without a lifetime relationship. And in the trust recession that's happening, people want real companies, especially with private equity moving into these businesses and just turning these things into machines and sales and wolf and sheep clothing and all things that we as home service business guys do not like. This is why they want the real. They want the real stories. Like, I would even take it a step further. If you're a local service business, like, share some personal stuff in these things. Like, share some, family stuff, share some team member stuff. The more real you can get, the more that it's going to feel like a relationship and they're going to trust you. And it's not about manipulating them. It's about being real. And that's the whole point of this. So attraction is a big part of it. Now, before I go to the next pieces, I want to talk about why most 1 million businesses are stuck. So most $1 million contractors believe the gap is leads, and it's not. A lot of times when I talk to business owners, they say, well, if I just had more leads, I'd grow my business. And I ask them 3 questions. What's your booking rate? And the reason booking rate is so important is because you could get more leads, but that doesn't mean you're going to get more jobs, because a lead goes and it dies. This happened in my home service business. I said the exact same thing when I started. I said, well, we just need more leads. Okay, well, let's go get more leads. But then my CSRs did not have a call script. We also got leads coming in and we didn't text and email them, and we called them on Monday morning and they wouldn't answer, and poof, the lead's gone forever. So the first question to ask is, what's my booking rate? Because if I get more leads, I want to make sure that those actually turn into jobs, not just leads. The second thing is, what's your close rate? Because you could get leads and you could get jobs, but if you can't actually close these people, then it's a problem. And especially 1 to 3 million, if you're the bottleneck, like if you're the number one salesperson and you don't have a good close rate or you're not tracking your close rate, then you could get more leads, you can get more jobs, you can get more estimates. But if you're not closing them, well, your revenue is not going to go up and you're going to feel like your marketing sucks. And then the last one is your average ticket. This one, again, 1 to 3 million, this is a big struggle. You get more leads, you get more jobs, you close more estimates, but your average ticket is too low to actually justify growth in revenue or in profit. And you have this is a terrible cycle of just paying more for leads and marketing, but your average ticket has not caught up. So that way your revenue is going up a little bit, but your profit is going down because you're spending more money to get these things. So those are the big 3 questions specifically with that. Now, everything inside the business still depends on memory, hustle, and good intentions. And unfortunately, I was the perfect person that got put into this situation. The memory was the business owner, we go into shoulder season and he'd be like, oh yeah, we need to email our past customers and see if we can get them on the schedule because we have nothing for the next 5 months until May. Hustle, he would go out and try to drum up commercial jobs because those are the most profitable ones. And then good intentions, like, of course, we all want to grow our business, but once you get to 1 million, 2, 3 million, the hustler has to die and the leader has to be born, and you have to build systems. Now, at 1 million, referrals, follow-up, and collections all happen when someone remembers. Another big issue here is that you can't remember, you need systems. At $10 million, none of that is left to chance. They have systems for every single thing. And the 4 systems compound over time: the attraction, the conversion, delivery, and the collections. And we're going to talk more about the next steps here as well. So let's talk about conversion. $1 to $3 million contractors, they follow up happens when someone remembers. So the business owner's like, yeah, this is a true story. What happened with that estimate again? Where are we at with that? Like, every single day, the owner, he ran our commercial estimates and some of our big residential estimates. What's up with this thing? No, you can't have that. Missed calls go to voicemail and stay there. This happened in my home service business. We would be busy, missed calls, went to voicemail, and they died there. We called them back and they didn't answer. Poof, it's gone forever. Owner or one person handles all estimates. This is another huge bottleneck, because if you don't have a sales system in your business, then you have to be the one that does all the estimates. So this happened at my business. The owner went out on vacation, and of course it's like, Phil, you're up to run the estimates, which is cool. I don't mind running estimates. The problem is that I don't know. There's no system behind it. So I'm literally taking pictures out here, sending it to him on vacation, and we're trying to figure out the estimate pricing because there's no system. You need to have a system. Even if it's you, it's okay. Have a system though that's documented, so that way, even if you're out, you can plug someone in and at least get a system going, and it's going to help you scale. Dead leads are abandoned after 1 attempt. At my home service business, we're getting like 700, 800 leads a month. And when we called them, they didn't answer. We'd actually print out the lead and stick it on the desk. And then the CSRs would put a check mark next to it every time they would call or leave a message. This is okay, but what if we had an automated process with text and emails and all these things? This is really what it takes. It's not just, one attempt, it's gone. And I'll give you one other really bad one when we get to this section. No visibility into who's performing or why. I talk to a lot of business owners, and when I talk about like close rates or I talk about average ticket, they don't know their numbers, and it's because they've never been trained as like a sales manager, so they don't really know what to look at. And the problem is that if you want to get to a $10 million business, you have to have visibility into who's performing and what. And I'm going to talk about what that actually means over here. All right, so follow-up happens when someone remembers. You need to have automated text and email responses within minutes when an estimate goes out, when things happen. So imagine you send an estimate to someone, within 30 minutes, they get an email and a text that says, hey, this is Phil, I just sent over an estimate, just want to make sure you got it. Sometimes it goes to spam. That saves probably 20% of your estimates that the person didn't get, and then it's gone forever. Missed calls go to voicemail and stay there. Lead routing rules ensure every call gets a response. So imagine you have AI answering service for rollover calls. I'm not saying you have to do that, but also when a call comes in and it gets missed, a text message goes out, hey, we missed a call from you. Like catching all of these things, not just dying in a voicemail. Owner or one person handles all estimates. Sales reps tracked by close rate and average ticket. You need to have a system for sales, and then you need to have numbers, close rate and average ticket, that's tracked on this. That way it's not just you out there doing the things. Nurture sequences cover leads over days and weeks. Dead leads are abandoned after one attempt. So here's the big one at my home service business. People call in, they would say, how much does it cost to get my ducts cleaned? And our CSRs they didn't have a script at first. And they would say, oh, well, how big is your home? What, how many HVAC units do you have? Okay, that's going to be $600. Then they would say, cool, I'm going to talk to my wife. I'll give you a call back. Okay, bye. 30 seconds, lead is gone. We just paid $200. Like, what's going on here? So what I said was, okay, no. We need to have a script in place. So we need to ask them, why you want to get your ducts cleaned now? But more importantly, we tell them, hey, we're going to give you an estimate. However, we're going to send you a formal estimate. That way, if you call back in and you don't talk to me, it's at least on our records. So that way we know what we told you and what it is. So what's your email so I can send over the formal estimate to you, but I will give you an estimate after this. That would allow us then to do an email nurture sequence on top of it. And we could even text them stuff too. So we text them a price guide, email them a price guide, follow up on the next day. Like, hey, want to make sure you got this. Do you have any questions? Like that is what it takes so that you do not have dead leads. And then no visibility into who's performing. Reps coach from data, performance gaps are visible. This is exactly what happened at my home service business with our technicians. I mentioned that English wasn't their first language and we wanted them to upsell different things, but it was really hard. So we said, okay, well, let's go to reviews. So we set some goals around reviews. And what we did was we actually built a scoreboard for them in the break room where they actually clock in every single morning. And they would have their little truck we made for them up on the wall. And then they would be ranked for these things. And they would see every single person on the scoreboard. That created extreme competition to get reviews, like extreme competition. So if you do not know the data and you're not tracking the data and you're not building scorecards for your team, and this could be another example of this is not even just in sales. We did this for our CSRs. So the CSRs were very much order takers. And I didn't like that because it's hard to generate growth in your business when people are just like literally, when I started, they're sitting around watching Netflix and hanging out and not really just like answering the phones as they came in. I'm like, this is ridiculous. So what we did was we set a goal for jobs. We wanted to grow 20%. So last year we did 500 jobs in January. This January, we need to do 600 jobs if we're going to go 20%. So I went in the office on the whiteboard, 600 jobs. Then from that standpoint, they knew that we needed to get 600 jobs. And I said, if we hit 600 jobs, the four of you will split $600. This is what I'm talking about by no visibility to who performing and why. Is because we don't know the data and we're not making it visible to the team. The $10 million companies, every single person on the team has a point. Like the CSR has a booking rate and a job count that they need to book, and maybe even a total revenue amount that they need to book. The sales guys have actual close numbers with average ticket. And even if you are the close guy, you should know your numbers, because if you're a good athlete, you know your numbers. Like that's the whole thing. So conversion, I would say this is probably one of the biggest issues to go from 1 to 3 million to 3 to 5 million. And the reason is because it takes a lot of numbers and, more importantly, time. And a lot of times for the $1 to $3 million guys, they do not have the time to do all the things that I just said because they don't have the systems to support them, and they're running around fighting fires. And you got to buy back your time so that way you can focus on higher leverage things inside of your business. All right, the next one is delivery. Now, delivery, usually at the 1 to 3 million, you have a decent delivery service. Like you have technicians, you have a system in place. There are some ways that $10 million companies make this great and allows them to scale. So $1 million contractor, great service depends on personality. Customer experience varies by technician. No consistent offer structure at the door. Upsells happen accidentally, if at all. Trust lives in people, hard to transfer or scale. Okay. So great service depends on personality. Service checklist standardized every visit. So at my home service business, when I started, we had 36 Google reviews. When I ended up starting my own business, we had over 1,000 Google reviews within the first year. The reason is because we implemented a service checklist. I went on Canva. I created a little checklist of like, okay, you get there, knock on the door, put on your booties, walk around the house with the customer, ask them questions, take before and after pictures, show before and after pictures, ask them for a review, and go through this process. And basically they had to go through this checklist, standardized, take a picture of it, add it to the job. And now we had a checklist. You probably have a really good guy who's like, oh, he's so nice. Oh, this guy's a little groggy. He doesn't give the same level of service. And the reason is because you don't have a service checklist. You need to build a service checklist to give good delivery. Customer experience varies by technician. Presentation standard applied across the whole team. It kind of goes into the last thing that I said, but you need to have a basic standardized process to present. Here's how much this costs. Here's the before and after pictures. And that way, every single job is structurally the same and the experience happens the same. They get the text 15 minutes before the guy arrives. They get the knock on the door. They get the let me walk you around the house. All those things are steps inside of the process, and it takes the personality out of it and turns it into a standardized process. No consistent offer structure at the door. I can't stress this one enough. Most of the times to go from 1 to 3 million, the owner is going, this has happened at mine. The owner's going around, oh, okay, I see that here. Then at the end, they're like, $6,000. That's what it's going to take. I can send over an estimate for you. It's like, poof, $6,000. How did that happen? The best companies have a good, better, best presented at every single job. And even if you do not have a team that's selling for you, systematizing this into a process is going to help you scale your business, because when you unlock getting another salesperson, you're already going to have the system to plug them into. But more importantly, it's going to allow you to sell much faster. I can't stress the good, better, best presented at every job enough. When we implemented this, instantly, we went from a close rate of 40% to 55%, because good, better, best allow people just to pick an option. It wasn't like, okay, I want to do that. It increased your average ticket, increased your close rate. You should do this. Upsells happen accidentally, if at all. Technicians train to cross-sell and introduce memberships. This one's a very, very tricky one because it takes a lot of time, coaching, and process. What I will say is that with upsells, you need to start with one. And I would start with the cross-sell, because the cross-sell is usually the easiest one for the technician, because I don't have to sell anything. It's like, hey, by the way, did you know that we do plumbing as well? I can have one of our plumbers give you a call. Or, hey, by the way, did you know that we do this X, Y, and Z? Is that something that you're interested in? I can have someone reach out to you. It's just like very nonchalant. You don't have to actually sell them something. Memberships, I would recommend doing memberships on the CSR level, customer service representative level, which is, hey, we're going to get you on the schedule for your spring inspection, or, you have this issue with your repairs. By the way, we actually offer this membership program where you don't have to pay, you get 10% off, and we come out proactively. So that way you don't have to worry about this ever again. Is that something that you want to do? But memberships are good. I would say cross sales is much better for the technician out in the field. Trust lives in people, hard to transfer to scale. Trust is operationalized, consistent regardless of who shows up. I mentioned about this trust recession. I can't stress this one enough inside of your delivery process. Trust is customer experience. Trust is how people interact with your business. And as you scale, you need to make sure that trust is going throughout. This is why this whole, if I were to take this whole thing, it would be all about building trust. Service checklist allows people to build trust with the brand. They obviously reach out to you. They obviously booked an appointment. So they must trust you at some point. When you have a rock solid delivery system, it instantly builds trust and credibility, but it also allows you to sell and close. The other piece to trust is making sure that everyone is saying the same words and talking the same. Everyone is logoed up. There's no ridiculous hats. Like, we had guys that were wearing NFL team hats or just like silly stuff. It's like, no, let's just get some hats for these guys. Let's get some polos for these guys. We even went as far as getting booties with the logo on it, because we wanted to have a formal process so people could trust us, that we knew what we were doing. Wow, they have booties with their logo on it. They must be a legit company. We trust them. That's the whole part of delivery. All right, and then rounding this out is collections. Oof. And this one, man, so I was director of business development. I came in, my responsibility was to grow the business. The first week, I was answering calls, right? Helping out, like learning all the processes. The first week I answered the call. A woman's like, hey, the guy was here and he wrote down my credit card on my invoice, but I don't see a charge. I'm like, what? He wrote down the credit card. What? And the process was the guys would be handwriting credit cards on invoices, right? This was 2019. It's not that long ago. Handwriting credit cards on here. And then they would bring it back, and then we would go in QuickBooks and manually type in the credit card information, and then hopefully it go through. I'm like, what in the world? So I log into the QuickBooks and I look at past due invoices. I kid you not, $350,000. Like, what are we doing? Like, what's going on? So I know collections 1 to 3 million is tough, and I would say one of the biggest reasons is because you might have an office manager, and it's like, who does accounts receivables, and are they responsible for it? But it's really about systematizing this, and I'll walk you through some of these things. But usually, like 1 to 3 million, the invoice sent, and then wait and hope. And this, I'm laughing because this is exactly how it was at mine. It's like we send the invoice, and then like hopefully they pay it whenever they want to pay it. AR is reactive. Owner chases payments. Usually it's when the bank account looks low. It's like, okay, let's go do some ARs. Let's go follow up with people to see when we're going to get paid. Payment expectations are unclear upfront. It's like, hey, a lot of times it's like, let's just get them on the books and then we'll get the work done and then they'll pay. I'm sure, we'll just send them an invoice. It's like, we need to have payment expectations of what is actually going to happen and when things need to be paid. Nice customers still forget to pay. This happened all the time. The owner would be like, oh, that was such a nice guy we did that job for. I wonder why he didn't pay. It's like, it's not because he's a nice guy. It's because we don't have a system. Cash flow is unpredictable and stressful. 1 to 3 million. Like, I know that you're feeling this. 1 to 3 million. Cash flow is unpredictable and stressful because we don't have an AR system and a collection system. I know this intimately because before I worked at the home service business, I worked at Enterprise. And at Enterprise, we actually were responsible for our own ARs at the branch level. And I was 25. I had a $3 million branch. I got paid off of the profitability of the branch. And we ran our own collections and ARs. And they drilled into us systems and processes for ARs. So I know that firsthand because I lived it. But more importantly, we know in $10 million companies what it looks like because I implemented it at the $3 million business to help capture a lot of this revenue. So invoice sent, wait and hope. No, get a credit card on file before the work begins. Someone books an appointment with you. If you don't want any cancellations, have them put a credit card on file. Done. AR is reactive. Owner chases payments. Someone owns AR accountability. So like your 30, 60, 90 days, making sure that your AR aging report is someone is actually looking in that and owning that and then bringing it to the attention, at least on a monthly meeting or something of like, where are we at with ARs? The other piece is making sure that someone is following up with ARs. So one of the things that we implemented was the day after we did the happy calls, which I implemented. Hey, we need happy calls. And then we would see who didn't pay and who did pay. And when we call them for the happy calls, we'd ask them like, hey, we need to make sure that we get this paid. Did you get the invoice that we paid? We need this paid in the next day or two. Do you have any issues with that? It allowed us to make sure that we were getting ARs and someone owned that inside of the happy call. Payment expectations are unclear up front. Payment schedule communicated at booking. So even if you don't take the credit card up front, it's like, hey, so the way that this works is our technician is going to come out after the job. So at my business, I said, we're not doing the credit card written down thing. We're going to have payment processing out in the field, get the credit card put on file. So that's what we told people about. But even if it's like, hey, we're going to send you an invoice the day before. If you want to pay that, it's another thing that we did. We sent the invoice the day before. So that way it was in their inbox. If they want to pay it that way, they could, or they could pay on site. Either way was fine. But basically like talking through the customer experience and what the expectation is. So that way it's not just like, okay, we sent this invoice and like magically gets paid. Nice customer still forgot to pay. You need automated reminders, remove the awkward conversation. So we would have the conversation on the happy calls, but then it's like, okay, well, we need to make sure that we have reminders set up. So if you use QuickBooks, for example, you can set up automatic reminders that happen. It's like, hey, this hasn't been paid, do this. And you can even send out reminders every couple of days for things that weren't paid. Like just have an automation built, even if it's just QuickBooks, you don't need a whole automation stack for this. Cash flow is unpredictable and stressful. I can't stress this one enough, but structured collections create predictable working capital. There's no two things about it. The worst thing in any home service business is you got the customer, you attracted them, you converted them, you sold them, you delivered great service, you got the 5-star review, but you never collected the money. Like you never got the money. And the whole reason we do this is to make money. Like you spent the money to get the customer, you spent the money on all the team, all the equipment, all of the stuff you had to buy to do the work. Like everything is there. Boom. And then you never get paid. And you wonder why cash is tight. Collections is a really big one. All right. So the shift from hustle to infrastructure. $1 million businesses depend on the owner. $10 million businesses depend on people and systems. I'm going to say this one again. $1 million business depend on the owner. If you, the owner, are listening to this and it's like you're the one that is making sure that all these things happen in your business, you need to systematize them and delegate these processes because $10 million businesses depend on people and systems. And when I say people, I mean people owning these things, and they're running systems that have been built. Most contractors think scaling means more leads, more trucks, more people. That's not always the case when you don't know your numbers. Scaling is really about operational structure. Every system compounds over time, and you need to build leaders inside of your business. I can't stress, again, this one enough, which is you need the systems. And I went through AC/DC because those are the main ones: attracting, converting, delivering, collecting. If you build systems on all four of those things, you have a full funnel business. Marketing, follow-up, delivery, collections, each one builds on the last. $10 million businesses remove randomness and owner dependency from every layer. The hustler has died and the leader has been born. And you're no longer the owner is dependent on any of this stuff. If everything depends on the owner, the business eventually stalls. And you might feel that between 1 to 3 million because it's called the swamp, and usually people stall out there. Old versus new. Word of mouth referrals for $1 million contractors, engineered reactivation, manual follow-up when someone remembers, automated response, personality-driven sales, checklist, good, better, best, invoice and wait, owner chase payments, card on file, proactive AR comment, owner dependent, hard to scale, infrastructure first, systems compound. All right, let me go through this quick checklist. Before I do that, if you own a home service business of 1 to 3 million and you're looking for a marketing company that actually understands this stuff, that understands growing home service businesses, I was at a home service business, went from 3 to 5 million, sold to private equity, and I took all the systems that we built to help that company grow, and we help home service businesses grow using digital marketing, technology, automation. We're in CRMs, we build the reports, we do the return on ad spend tracking, we coach on the sales process, we track the conversion rate, we track the close rate, like all this stuff we do. I'll put a link down below. I'd love the opportunity to speak with you. Either way, here's a checklist that you can implement in your business. So build a customer reactivation system. Don't rely on referrals alone. Do the monthly emails. Build out a process to start doing that. Don't just do farming and branding. Do some sales stuff. Track marketing ROI over 3 to 6 months to know what's actually working. So build return on ad spend tracking every single month so that you spent $2,000 on Google Ads, you know that made you $10,000 or it made you $0, and then fix what needs to get fixed so that way it produces revenue. Automate lead response within minutes. Build a follow-up nurture sequence. Make sure that leads come in to get text, emails, calls. When an estimate goes out, text, email, calls. Track close rate and average ticket sales per person. Coach from the data. Standardize service delivery with checklists, good, better, best. Train technicians to cross-sell, educate, and introduce memberships. Store payment methods at booking. Audit every system for owner dependency. Remove yourself from the critical path. Those first 3 things we implement. We help you implement those things in your business. I appreciate you. If you like content like this, be sure to hit like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.